All right. Good morning. Good morning. I am here. How are you doing? Can you all hear me now? Hello? Yeah, no, I just wanted to get the stream started before. So I hope you can all hear. Now you can hear me. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're all excited. I'm not feeling so good today. Long story why. I finally figured out what's wrong with me, but I'm not going to miss this for anything. So I'm going to do the stream. I'm going to get through it. I'm probably going to go back to bed. Anyway, I'm not on camera because it's too early and I just did not feel like getting up and getting dressed. So just bear with me. The hearing should start in about 30 minutes. So I thought we would talk a little bit before then about what we're going to see today and catch up on the news of the case. Today's arraignment is for Chad Daybell. He'll be appearing with his lawyer before Judge Stephen Boyce in Fremont County. Today, what I expect to see is I expect the court will read the charges that are pending against Chad. There are 4 charges, 2 counts of conspiracy to conceal or destroy evidence, and 2 counts of destroying or concealing evidence. So 4 charges. They're going to read those. John Pryor could waive the reading of those, but they're typically read anyway. So what else are we going to see? Chad will enter his plea of guilty or not guilty. We are anticipating a not guilty plea. I suppose that could change, but that would be pretty surprising to me. So we'll keep an eye on that. The judge could set a trial date today, or at least a date for another pretrial hearing or some sort of thing like that. They will be talking about how the judge wants them to handle pretrial motions and a lot of procedural stuff today. Today will not be new charges. Right, today is the arraignment on the 4 existing charges that we already know of. There could be new charges at any minute, but at least today it should just be those 4. So, how is everyone in chat doing? Good morning. It's so good to see you. Thanks to all the mods for being here bright and early this morning. Hi, Sophie, Cynthia, T, Kat, Liz, Sandy, Kira, Rosie. I hope you're all doing great. Hi, Mark Denning. Nice to see you again. Shirley, Dana, Sophie, Adrian, Melanie, Laura. I'm glad everyone's here. I know that we're all united in our search for justice for JJ and Tylee and Joseph and Charles and Tammy and perhaps even Alex or, whatever you think about Alex. But this is another step towards that. So I'm excited to see that. Now we know that Lori will also be having her arraignment, although she has a different judge. She'll be seeing Judge Dane Watkins, and that has been moved recently. That will take place now on September 10th. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see Lori's arraignment, but that's okay. It's all right. It's not that far away. Oh, let's see. I'm going to read chat. Adrian says, "Oh, don't be worried about me. I'm okay. I figured out why I'm sick." And it's a silly girl trouble thing. But anyway, I will be fine. Absolutely fine. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing? Nice to see you here bright and early. Of course, Paul, you usually get up way earlier than I do, so this is probably normal for you. Mother Hen says, "Now I'm confused what the preliminary trial was for." Okay, the preliminary hearing is a hearing where the prosecution has to prove to the magistrate judge that there's enough evidence and information to warrant bringing the charges to a formal trial and criminal proceeding. It's kind of like a probable cause affidavit for arrest, except this is the probable cause hearing for the trial. So it was just a necessary step that happens. And you don't always see it in every case because in some states they use a grand jury system instead, where the grand jury will bring an indictment against the accused, and then it goes to trial. In Idaho, or at least in this case specifically, they did not use grand jury indictments. Instead, they used a preliminary hearing, and now it's going to trial. So, how long would we expect today's arraignment to last? Mommy is lying. I'm expecting about 30 minutes. Not entirely sure that's going to happen because you never know, but it should be simply reading the charges, entering a plea, may have a little discussion about Pryor wanting a bond reduction. They may discuss possible change of venue to be filed later, things like that. But it shouldn't be too long. This is not an evidentiary hearing. Nobody will be putting in evidence or calling witnesses or anything like that. So it's purely procedural. Should be pretty quick. We don't have Mark Means today. We do have John Pryor, who tends to be a little bit more succinct. So we'll see. Here's hoping. I'm really not up for a 3-hour hearing today. So, you may hear me clicking around and stuff. I am checking on the stream to make sure as soon as it starts, we can start it and we won't miss a single minute of it. It should be starting in about, 20, 25 minutes. So we will keep our eye on that. What else is happening in the news this week? There were some papers filed in the case this week. We have 2 filings, one by each judge. One comes from Judge Boyce and one comes from Judge Watkins, and they both say the same thing. Basically, they will be live streaming the hearings or procedures that happen, at least specifically the arraignments. We'll see what happens when it goes past that. So we will have permission to stream them live to you, which is excellent. I hate having to watch it later on and then do commentary. I much prefer to watch it live with everyone because then we can see what's happening. We don't have to wait. I am too impatient of a person to wait for the news organizations to upload it hours after it happens. So there you go. All right, what else we got? So we have those 2 filings. Mark Means has filed a motion for extension to motion for transfer of trial. Basically, what he's saying is, at the last hearing with Judge Edens said you have 60 days at the end of that preliminary hearing to file your motion for change of venue, if that's what you want to do. So Mark Means has just filed a motion to extend that time frame. He wants 60 days to be able to file his motion for change of venue after Lori's arraignment. So that's all. He's just asking for a little more time with that. Not a big deal. We have both sides, the defense and the prosecution, filing motions requests for discovery. Again, procedural, not something we're surprised about, because both sides want to know what the other side knows. And legally, they have to turn over their discovery. So we're not going to see that discovery. That's between the lawyers. We will not get to see anything like that until it goes to trial. I don't know if a lot of stuff is sealed in this case exactly. Doesn't seem so, but typically they don't just, the prosecution is not going to just dump their discovery files in a PDF for us to go read. So we'll have to wait for trial to see the bulk of that. Why the change of judge for Lori? You mean why they have different judges for this? That could just be a scheduling thing. Who knows? I didn't see any motions filed or anything to get a new judge or different judges or whatever. So I have no idea. Most likely just scheduling. Yep. Today we'll be seeing Judge Stephen Boyce, who yesterday was testing out his live stream software and his Zoom and his YouTube page. It was kind of fun watching him do that. And I was sitting there thinking, isn't it weird that I'm sitting here watching this judge test his live streaming software and I'm finding this really exciting? I mean, what normal person does that? I didn't think that was normal, but there were a bunch of us. We were sitting there talking and chat, and we kept refreshing the judge's stream because we wanted to see what was going on, like it was breaking news or something. But there you go. Oh man. All right, just let me keep checking. I don't want to miss even a single minute of this hearing, so I'm going to keep flipping over there and checking that. So let's see what else is going on in the case. Nothing right now. It's going to be a quiet time while all of this procedural backgroundy stuff gets going. It is going to be a very long time till the trial begins. I don't anticipate any trial taking place for Chad or Lori until next year, unfortunately. I could be wrong, but I have a sneaky feeling that the trial, at least for the current charges, won't be till at least January. So, it's going to be quiet for a while. Once we get through the arraignments and a lot of the pretrial nonsense, it'll be pretty quiet until the trial begins, which could be January. It could even be July of next year. We don't know. So we will see. Let's see, just checking up on chat. Chad will enter his plea, is what Awood said a moment ago. So I was wondering why Chad Sell and Alex Pings weren't both mentioned in the Shot the Raccoon. You know, Wills, I've been wondering that too, other than the fact that they may be keeping Chad's electronic data under wraps because it also ties into the ongoing investigation into Tammy Daybell's murder. We do know that in April of this year, it was just a couple months ago, law enforcement did announce that they were looking at Tammy Daybell's death, and they were looking at Chad and Lori in regards to her death from the lens of conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. So it's quite possible that the state is just not willing to release Chad's cell phone and electronic data at this time. And they don't have to yet. They don't have to. So they had enough evidence available to them to get through the preliminary hearing, and that's all they needed to do. So is there ever going to be murder charges? Jen Winkler, I think there will be, or at the very least, conspiracy to commit murder, which is fine because they can get a very similar punishment as they would if it was straight up murder. So, but we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to take the state a long time to wrap all this together to bring those kinds of charges. But for now, they have enough information and charges against Chad and Lori to keep them in jail for a while they work on the big charges. That's what I'm hoping. We're going to have to wait and see. Alley Cat, your daughter had surgery last month. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope she's doing well. My thoughts go out to her. Hi, Sue Bell from Scotland. Good evening. It's about evening over there. You're about 6 hours ahead of me. So thank you for being here. Karen asked, do you think either of them can hold out until trial without turning on the other and getting a plea? That's an interesting question, and we've been talking about that a lot. I have some thoughts on that. So why don't we talk about it? As far if you ask me just as a course of habit, which one do I think would turn first? I would say Chad, because Chad is not the strongest spined potato I've ever met, and I think they could easily sort of almost browbeat him into that, if he got nervous enough. But Lori is very conniving and shrewd and manipulative, and she may at least have the, firing synapses going enough to tell her she's in deep, deep trouble. And she may think of throwing Chad under the bus as her only way out. So which would flip first? It depends. Is Chad more scared or is Lori more conniving? It's kind of 50-50. I don't think either one of them are going to flip anytime soon, but I think eventually one of them might crack. Yeah, they are both pretty impatient. That is for sure. All the buses. Yeah, if you look at Mark Mean's website, his banner on his website is a picture of a giant bus, and it says, "Don't get thrown under the bus. Call Mean's Law." It's like, wow, that's kind of funny. Why they're not running late? The hearing does not start for about 15 more minutes. So I just wanted to come on early so we could chit-chat, talk about updates in the case, talk about what the arraignment's going to be, that kind of stuff. We're early. They are not late. It really scares me that if the trial is so far off, I hope some of the witnesses have protection. I'm sure there's still some of Chad and Lori's running around. Yeah, Miss KJ Torres, that's an interesting point. Give me 1 second, though. I need to cough. When we think about the deaths in this case, we think about things like Alex's death, really mysterious. Tammy and Charles's death, clearly, the motive for those was pretty clear. And the kids and all that. We think about all this stuff, and I think, what about people running around out there that have actual information that will be damaging to Chad and Lori's case? How safe are they? That's a good question. Dana, thank you so much for the super chat. Look at that. That's a good sticker to wake up to. Very energetic and very awakening. Thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate that. So, you think of someone like Melanie Gibb, who certainly has some information that is very damaging to Chad and Lori. How safe is she? Is she perfectly safe because the perpetrators are safely behind bars? Or are there others involved who might want to, take care of some problems? We don't know. I'm assuming she's safe, and I certainly hope she's safe. So we'll just see what happens. Oh, hopefully everyone is safe. I don't think we need any more deaths associated with this crazy case. Let's hope everyone stays safe. Cynthia Berg refers to her as Melanie Gibb, or Melanie Phibb. Yep, that's rather fitting. As you all know, or most of you might know, I am currently working on a book review of Melanie Gibb's book, Feel the Fire. Man, guys, I don't even know how to do this. I've been trying for 3 days now to write up my script for that book review. And I want to do a serious one. I want to be able to say, here are some of the psychological red flags I see. Here's a lot of patterns that are going on. A lot of stuff that gives us some insight into Melanie. But this book, I don't know. I don't even know. There are no words for me to describe what this book actually is. So I'm having a very hard time approaching it seriously because I don't know. Dr. Seuss looks like, Dostoevsky compared to Melanie Gibb's books. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. But I'm going to try and get that book review up for you because it is fascinating. But there's a few parts in there that literally made me throw my Kindle across the room trying to read it. So it's not a pleasant experience by any means. And it certainly validates everything that I've thought about Melanie Gibb before reading the book. It's like, yep, I was right. Yep, nailed it. So I really want to bring you the book review, and I'll work on it. I'll do my best to try and be serious. And Paul and I, and a few others, we have some guests coming with us Saturday night on the podcast channel. If you watch the mods, they'll be dropping links to stuff. Eventually, they'll drop a link to the podcast channel where Paul and I will talk more candidly about things. We use that channel for live streams that aren't directly related to stuff or, things like that. But we're going to talk about Melanie Gibb's book because we have some very strong thoughts and opinions about this book. We want a place where we can talk about it more openly without having to be so diplomatic, So that should be an interesting live stream. It should definitely be fun. So check us out. We'll be doing that Saturday night, Paul and I, and we have a couple other people who have read the book and need therapy now. So we're going to call it, we read the book, Feel the Fire. And now we're starting a group called We Felt the Fire, and now we need therapy. There you go. It should be a good time. Oh, man. I'm hoping this hearing starts early because it's getting hard to talk. This is rough times, my friends. So, let me have a drink. All right, so what's happening? Just to do a quick run-up of what we're about to see. We're going to see Chad's arraignment before Judge Stephen Boyce in Fremont County. They will probably read the charges pending against Chad. Chad will enter a plea. They may discuss bond and bond reduction, bond restrictions if he should bail out. They may actually set a date for the trial or at least some pretrial procedural stuff that has to take place. It shouldn't be too long. I'm assuming this hearing is going to be about 30-ish minutes or so. Unless John Pryor pulls something crazy, it should be a pretty quick deal. But we'll see. I have no idea what type of lawyer John Pryor is as far as does he like to throw in a lot of curveballs? Does he like to prolong the agony? We don't know. The last time we saw a bond reduction hearing for Lori Vallow with Mark Means, that went on for 3.5 hours, and he argued absolute nonsense the whole time. It was painful. It was so painful. So I'm really hoping we're not going to see something like that today because I can't handle it. And I don't want to be throwing my computer across the room. Throwing my Kindle is one thing. The desktop is a little different. So Give me 1 second. I just want to cough. All right. So we also know that Lori will also be having an arraignment pretty soon. She will be seeing Judge Dane Watkins on September 10th. That hearing did get moved. It was scheduled for the 27th. It was moved. Nate Eaton said that it was moved because Mark Means has another trial to deal with on the 27th. What trial that is, I have no idea. I believe that Mark Means is a family law attorney, so it could be something like that. But that was just a scheduling conflict, right? There was nothing, nefarious going on there. However, interestingly, when you look at the court docket, it shows that felony information filed right before this other thing. And a lot of people jumped off and said, oh my God, new charges. And I admit that when I first saw that, I said, are there new charges? I got very excited until I actually read it. I was like, oh, no, darn it. All that is the transfer of the information from the magistrate court to the district court. So that's all it was. Did not indicate new charges were filed. So there you go. There you go. You think Mark Means is getting pointers from another lawyer? Marlene, I think so too. I really do. Although I will say that I have been surprised recently several times by Mark Means and some of his filings. They're actually not terrible. So, maybe there's some, I don't know. I don't want to say hope for him because he's the defense attorney and we don't want to hope that they win, But he's not as bad of a lawyer as I thought he was going to be. So that's good because I do believe even the worst of us deserve a fair trial and adequate representation. So I'm glad Mark Means is not terrible, sort of in a strange way. Oh, oops, 1 second. All right, sorry. I have to mute once in a while. We've got husband getting ready for work, kids waking up, cats tearing across the room, and there's all kinds of stuff going on here. This is way too early for this much energy going on in my room. I'm going to check the judge's page again. Nothing's up yet. We should have about 7 minutes before the hearing starts. Chad is going to plead not guilty. Yep, Lenore, I do expect him to plead not guilty. I don't think that's going to change at all. Liz Stewart says Pryor could change when there's an actual jury there. Oh, absolutely. If we got any hint of what Pryor's going to be like from the preliminary hearing, now he knew he was on camera. He knew he was showboating and grandstanding. Can you imagine how much worse it's going to be when there is an actual jury in that courtroom? So, yeah, I am not really looking forward to seeing John Pryor's histrionics at trial, but we will. Good morning, Mark David. How are you doing? I'm glad you're here. Yep, it is definitely too early. Now you need a dog. Oh, no, not yet. I do want a puppy, Sandy. I definitely want one. I have my eye on a few breeds that I'm looking at, but not now. Not till we move. We're still in an apartment, and that's not the good place for a dog with cats already here. So, any ETA at Paul? It should be starting in 6 minutes. So, is Means not a hard criminal trial lawyer? No, White Noise op-ed commentary. Mark Means is I believe, family law or civil law lawyer. So he is not a criminal defense attorney, although there's nothing to prevent him from acting as one. The only thing that may change that is if there are charges that could be bringing a death penalty. He is not death penalty qualified, I don't believe. I'm not sure how that works in Idaho, so she may have to switch representation at some point, but for now, he has been cleared by the judge, even after their conflict of interest hearing, to defend Lori. So we should be seeing Mark Means for quite a while. Unless they get in a fight, which you never know. I'm going to end up with eye aches from rolling Chad's attorney. Shannon, yep. Yes, definitely. Oh. Good morning, Hot Scorpio. How are you doing? I'm glad to see you here, all the way from sunny Australia. Actually, it's cold there, isn't it? You guys have your winter time right now, which always blows my mind. Which breeds? I am actually looking at the same kind of breed that our mod Jess Nelson has. It's just beautiful. And now, because you asked me, I cannot think of it. Jess, what is your dog's breed? I know what it is. The long floppity ears, the soft curly fur. You guys know what I'm talking about? Jess will tell us because my brain just totally turned off. But that is the dog that I'm hoping to get. And once we have a nice big house with a great big fireplace, I want an Irish Wolfhound. So those are in my future someday. Good morning, J.K. Fulton. How are you doing? No, it's not a golden doodle. Cocker Spaniel. Thank you, Snap Out of It. That is what I am looking for. Yes, because they are just beautiful. Something about those flappity ears. Of course, Jess keeps offering or threatening to send me her dog, so there you go. Yeah, if I move if I move there to where Jess lives, I will get a free Cavalier King Charles Cocker Spaniel as a as a housewarming gift. Yeah, and that would be great. That would be wonderful. So, someday. All right, let me get back to the judges page. It's going to be starting any second now. So we have 4 minutes. I'm hoping they're going to get this up and running quick without any trouble. They did test it extensively yesterday, even to the point where they had, I think, 6 different live streams running concurrently because they kept testing a new one and not turning off the other one, which was kind of interesting. And I even offered to help. They had the live chat on. I was like, excuse me, do you need some help? But hopefully they've got that sorted. 3 minutes, guys. 3-minute warning until we have the hearing. This should be good. Let's see. Check it on chat. Tammy's cause of death found natural. Patricia, I think we would have heard that already. Absolutely. The fact that we haven't, and the fact that the exhumation of her remains led them to a search warrant in January, the new announcement in April, and the fact that they haven't said natural causes yet leads me to believe that they know something. I'm hoping we'll hear about that soon. Let's see. Corgis are cute too. Yep. All right, I'm just checking on the judges. I'm just going to sit here and keep refreshing this because I don't want to miss a single minute of it. I hope we get to see Chad. I think Chad actually has to appear. Kathy, am I correct in thinking that for an arraignment, the defendant has to appear? He does not have the right to waive his appearance for an arraignment. That is my belief. But I am pretty sure we're going to see Chad. See if he's smirky and laughy today like he was at the prelim. I would hope he's not, because that was not a good look for him. Kathy says she believes so. Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're going to see him. But remember, at the preliminary hearing, he was so helpful to his lawyer. He corrected John Pryor when he said Melanie Gibbs instead of Melanie Gibb. He helped John Pryor adjust his microphone because, as we know, John Pryor has a phobia of microphones, apparently, and cannot get within 10 feet of them. So hopefully he's gotten some therapy for that before today so we can hear what he says. Bets on mask or not? It depends. If this is going to be in person, I would hope they're wearing masks. But over the weekend, when Judge Boyce was testing it all, they were testing it via Zoom. So it could be a Zoom hearing, in which case they will probably not have masks on. We're just going to have to wait and see. Now, what I've come to love is these Zoom hearing live streams. I think this is such a fantastic way for people to be able to access the justice system, like us, who we want to watch the trials. We certainly don't want to be going to sit in a courthouse right now. But, I mean, it's fantastic. I wish all these cases were streamed like this. I think it's wonderful. So let's hope that they continue with this process. Yes, Pryor said Miss Gibbs, I think, and then he corrected him because it's Miss Gibb. It's not Mrs. Gibb anymore. I don't think they are divorced. And she is not currently married to her boyfriend, David Warwick, which is interesting me. We see the speed at which Alex and Zulema got married, Melanie and Ian got married, Chad and Lori, after they got rid of their other spouses, got married. How come Melanie and David Warwick aren't married yet? That's something to ponder. A very curious thing. All right, we're about to get going. I'm still watching. Please, for the duration of this hearing, please keep your comments clean and civil and respectful. The mods will be deleting anything that is offensive or hateful or calling for violence. So if your comments are getting deleted, please clean them up a little bit. That's all. We want to protect this channel. You don't want to get me in trouble because of your comments. That's not cool. And we just don't want to have an atmosphere of hate and vitriol and nastiness. We want rainbows and unicorns. Thank you very much. As much as we can. Oh, I'm not seeing chat, unfortunately, because I am just still constantly refreshing the judge's page. So it is 10:01. We are 1 minute late. Don't know what's going on. Come on, Judge Boyce. Let me make sure I'm not missing it anywhere else. I don't think I am. All right, here we go. We're live. Let me bring it to you. 1 second. Oops, wrong screen. Hold on. They haven't said anything important yet. It's okay. All right, here we go.
All right, Mr. Daybell, my name is Judge Boyce, and I'm the district judge for Fremont County, and I've been assigned to preside over your case. In a few minutes, I will arraign you on criminal charges that have been filed against you by the state of Idaho. Before doing so, I will explain what will happen at your arraignment and then advise you of your constitutional rights and plea options. If at any time you need to communicate in confidence with Mr. Pryor, please advise me and you'll be allowed to consult with him outside of the court's presence and off the record during this hearing. In this case, the state filed an information on August 17th, 2020. That document sets forth the criminal charges that have been filed against you. The information is not evidence, it's only a charge or allegation brought by the state of Idaho. Mr. Pryor, I've had indication from your counsel that you did receive a copy of the information and you have reviewed that with your attorney, Mr. Pryor. Is that correct?
Judge, Mr. Daybell has an opportunity yesterday to go over the information with me in its entirety. He had no questions. And at this time, Judge, we will waive formal reading of the information, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pryor. Mr. Daybell, at this time I'll go over the plea options you have in this case. The purpose of an arraignment is to have you enter a plea to the charges in the information. So at the end of the arraignment, you'll be asked to enter such a plea. In that regard, you have three options. Your first option is that you may enter a plea of not guilty. If you elect to plead not guilty, I will schedule a jury trial and a pretrial conference in your case. Also, by pleading not guilty, you will maintain all of your constitutional rights in this case, which rights were previously explained to you on June 10th at your initial appearance. Among those rights, you have the right to be presumed innocent. The presumption of innocence is a real and important right which lies at the foundation of our criminal justice system. Therefore, unless you either plead guilty at a later date or the state proves the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt at trial, the presumption of innocence remains in your case. You also have the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of your peers, as well as the right to see, hear, confront, and have your attorney question all witnesses who may be called to testify against you. During the pendency of your case and at trial, you also have the right to be represented by an attorney. As you are in custody, you have the right to communicate with your attorney at all stages of your case, and reasonable access to communication with your attorney will be provided. At your trial, you will have the right to present evidence in your defense and the right to the subpoena power of this court to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your own behalf. Finally, if you plead not guilty, you will retain the right to remain silent and exercise the privilege against compulsory self-incrimination. This means that you cannot be required to testify against yourself. However, you may voluntarily take the witness stand at trial if you so choose, but you cannot be compelled to do so. If you decide not to testify in your own behalf, the prosecuting attorney can make no remarks about your failure to testify and cannot imply to the jury that exercising your constitutional right to remain silent is any indication of your guilt. Your second option you would have this morning, Mr. Daybell, is to stand silent and enter no plea at all. If you decided to do that, I would enter a plea of not guilty for you, and you would continue to maintain all of the rights I previously explained this morning. Your third option is that you may plead guilty to any or all of the charges. However, it is important that you understand that if you pled guilty, you would automatically waive your rights under the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, as well as similar rights contained in the Idaho Constitution. In other words, if you decide to plead guilty, you will waive your right to a trial and there will be no trial. You would no longer be presumed innocent and the state would no longer have the burden of proving the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. By pleading guilty, you would also give up your 6th Amendment rights to confront your accusers and cross-examine any witnesses against you. You would also give up your right to offer evidence in your own behalf in response to the state's case against you. You would also waive any defenses you have to the charges contained in the information, including any claims that there is a defect in the state of Idaho's case against you or that you have been treated unfairly by the court. You would further give up your 5th Amendment right to remain silent and the privilege against self-incrimination. If you were to plead guilty, you would also be required to testify under oath concerning the facts of the alleged offenses in this case to allow me to determine whether there is a factual basis for your plea, whether the plea is made knowingly, freely, and voluntarily, and to determine whether you fully understand the consequences of your guilty plea. Finally, you are advised that if you decide to plead guilty, any testimony that you give while under oath concerning the alleged offenses could and would likely be used against you at a later trial if I were to not accept your plea for some reason, or if you later withdraw your plea. It is very important that you understand all of the rights and options that I just explained to you. Before we go any further, Mr. Daybell, do you have any questions regarding what I've just explained, or do you need to discuss any of that with your attorney?
I have no questions.
Very well. Mr. Daybell, you were brought before this court to answer the information filed by the state, which alleges that you have committed serious crimes and that 4 felony charges have been filed by the state against you. You have the 6th Amendment right to counsel at every critical stage of these proceedings, which I see you've already exercised as Mr. Pryor represents you here today. Before I allow you to respond by entering a plea to these charges in the information, I have a few questions I need to ask you. First of all, we've confirmed you can hear me okay this morning. Is that correct, Mr. Daybell?
Yes.
All right. Have you had enough time in your mind to review the information with your attorney?
Yes.
Is your name as listed in the information correctly listed?
It is. Yes.
Thank you. At this time, your counsel has advised me that you would waive a formal reading of the information. Is that correct, Mr. Pryor?
It is correct, Judge.
All right, then at this time, the court will summarize the charges from the information that was filed by the state on August 17th. The information alleges in count 1, the crime of destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence, a felony under Idaho Code 18-2603. That charge carries a punishment of up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Mr. Daybell, do you understand that charge and the possible maximum penalties?
Yes.
Count 2, Mr. Daybell charges conspiracy to commit destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence. That's a felony under Idaho Code 18-2603 and also Idaho Code 18-1701. That charge also carries a punishment of up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand count 2, the charge, and the possible penalties?
Yes.
Count 3 is contained in the information charges destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence, a felony under Idaho Code 18-2603. That charge also carries a punishment of up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand the charge in count 3 and the possible penalties?
Yes.
And finally, count 4 charges conspiracy to commit destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence, That's a felony under Idaho Code 182603 and 181701. And it also carries a punishment of up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand that charge and those possible penalties?
Yes.
And I'll also explain to you, Mr. Daybell, those charges or the possible penalties in each count could run either consecutively, meaning together, or they could be ordered to be served concurrently. Concurrently would be running together, and consecutively, meaning one would have to be served after the other was completed. At this time, Mr. Pryor, is Mr. Daybell ready to enter his plea? Or do you need any additional time to discuss this with Mr. Daybell?
Judge, at this time, we are prepared to go forward for the entry of a plea. Mr. Daybell, on behalf of Mr. Daybell, we will enter a plea of not guilty to all of the charges and obviously request a pretrial and a jury trial, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Pryor, the not guilty pleas will be entered as to counts 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the information. With that then, counsel, let's discuss the time for setting of a trial in this case. We did have a brief discussion prior to the hearing. There was a suggestion that we look at January for a date for trial. Mr. Wood, how many days of trial would the state be requesting in this matter?
Your Honor, I think we should probably plan on, as we've discussed, about 3 weeks for this trial.
Mr. Pryor, your thoughts from the defense on how many days we'd need for trial?
Judge, as we previously discussed, I anticipate at least 3 weeks will be needed in this matter.
We could schedule trial to commence on January 11th through January 29th.
That's acceptable to the defense, Your Honor.
And that works for the state.
There is one federal holiday during that time period on the 18th. So that would have you losing 1 day. Is that still sufficient time, do you think, Mr. Wood?
I think that would work, Your Honor. I think we can figure that out.
All right. Any concerns with that, Mr. Pryor?
No concerns, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. We'll set the trial then to commence Monday, January 11th. Council will intend to conduct full trial days. I won't be having any other hearings scheduled during the time of the trial. Just for planning purposes, we typically will run a trial to start every day at 9 o'clock and go until 5 o'clock with a lunch break. Let's schedule a pretrial conference then. December 10th at 10:30 a.m.
Works for the defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
It's fine for the state.
All right, we'll send out the notice of trial setting. Mr. Wood, is there anything further from the state this morning on this matter?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Very well. Mr. Pryor, anything further?
Not at this time. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, council will send that notice out, and if there is nothing else, then I appreciate your attendance and preparedness this morning, and we will be in recess.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, there we go. Yep. Okay, we are all back now. All right, so we have the trial scheduled for January. Not unexpected. Called that one. We have the pretrial conference scheduled for December 10th. All right, and that if it's live stream, you know I'm going to bring that to you. Any hearing and at all with Lori or Chad's cases, if they are available to be live streamed, I will bring it to you absolutely 100%. So if you keep that notification bell rung under the video whenever I go live, sometimes they're very short notice, so I won't be able to promo it and you might not hear it. Maureen Walsh says she still can't hear me. Everyone else can hear me. Maureen, maybe refresh your page or something. I don't know. So a lot of people are asking, when are murder charges coming? Guys, we don't know. Okay. The state has a lot to do in the background to bring charges for murder or conspiracy to commit murder or something like that. We're just going to have to wait. I do not have a crystal ball. I can't tell the future. So we're just going to have to wait. So, yep, they did block off 3 weeks for this trial. That's actually a considerable amount of time for these charges. I could see 3 weeks if it was like a capital case, but it's not. So that is a long time just for the current charges that we have. So I expect that to be very interesting. What is the pretrial for? Pretrial conferences are for things like when they argue about what evidence is admissible and what isn't. Witnesses, they will get expert witnesses sort of verified before the trial, things like that. Procedural, arguing stuff in the background before they go to trial. That's what the pretrial conferences will be all about. And if any of them are streamed, I will bring them to you. A couple other things I want to mention before we break for the day. My channel has channel memberships available now. You can join the channel. I will be doing a lot of members only and Patreon only type live streams and conversations and posts and all of that. Plus, you get access to the cool emojis that we have in chat. We do have some fun ones, especially for this case, like a Mr. Potato Head, a Kool-Aid, a magic portal, and, some s'mores, because who doesn't like s'mores? But there's a bunch of emojis and things like that. So you get some benefits for being a channel member. You also get access to the members only area of our Discord server. Our Discord server is getting really busy. There are people there that talk about the case around the clock. So Discord is absolutely free to join for everyone anywhere. Please come on over and visit us there. All the documents that I get for the case, whenever I'm, collecting court documents or historical documents, anything about it, I put it up there so that you can always have a resource. Pop in, grab any of the documents you need, and there you go. So Discord is a great, great thing for anyone following this case closely. So there you go. We have channel memberships. We have Discord server. I do have the Patreon. I haven't put up my deep dive video for the week on Patreon yet, just because I've been sick and I haven't gotten to it. I apologize. That will be up. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in the backgrounds of this channel. So dive in. We have a lot of people, a lot of great people in this community. Please take a minute and get to know everyone and hang out, because I'm having a blast. I really am. So I hope you will join us all over there. All right, Saturday evening, we do have a live stream over on the podcast channel where we'll be talking about Melanie Gibbs' book. That ought to be fun. Let's see, staying classy. At what time do they go through jury selection? The voir dire will take place right before the trial starts, so probably the first week of January. Now, I do expect to see a change of venue motion filed. Lots of stuff is going to happen before then, so all of these dates are tentative, so we're just going to have to wait. But yeah, the jury selection process will take place immediately before the trial begins. So I don't know if it actually takes place the first day that's scheduled for trial, because the voir dire is part of the trial, or if it takes place a couple days before then, but it'll be around the first week of January. So we just got to hang in there. It's going to be a long time. Sarah, will we be able to see jury selection? That's not always. Some trials do, some don't. Like we got to see part of it with this trial, but you don't see any of that with another trial. It really depends on the judge and what they think. Generally speaking, we don't get to see the whole voir dire process, which I love when we get to see it. It's fascinating to see how they question potential jurors on the stand and such, but we might not be able to see it. Where's the podcast channel and where can I find it? Mother Hen, one of the mods will drop a link to it in just a second. Keep an eye on the chat. It should be popping up. It's a reporting live from my sofa, the podcast. So, and I will also have links to anything we do there in the community tab here before we go live. There we go. Bipolar Princess just has a link to the podcast channel, so you can sub to that. And you'll be able to see links in the community. Also tonight, you guys know Paul, one of my dearest friends in the world. He's going live tonight on his channel, I believe. Yeah, live stream tonight. I'm reporting live from my sofa. So follow us everywhere. We are all over the place. I am staying on this. There is no more current news right now that I need to make a video of. Though I'll probably do just an update to this. So people want quick, short information. But there's stuff coming. But in the meantime, I am probably going to go take a nice hot bath and go to bed because I feel like poo. And it's not fun. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for all the support and the new channel members. Welcome. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chats, all that great stuff. All right, so you'll be able to rewind this and watch the hearing again if you need to. And there you go. If you guys need me, I'll be around. Ask your questions in Discord because I'm almost always there to answer them. And all the mods are fantastic and will help you in any way they can. Thank you, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.